I have no idea what this monster I'm inside of is. Although I feel a little safer in the exo-rig that I found, I have a suspicion there are a lot more surprises waiting for me. The weird blue substance I found in the capacitor seems to charge the rig and upgrade its function. But I still need more information. Maybe I'll figure out what the hell this place is about as well. That was kind of close. I need a key.
such fond memories of my study years. The Bureau had granted me a scholarship, which I gladly repaid by pledging to work in the Ark's Vaporum for a 7-year term. My dreams came true. When I first arrived on Capitol Island, coming from my home at Garrian Islet, the astonishing sight of the labs, workshops, and all the machinery took me by storm. It was like Christmas trees covered with shiny cogs instead of balls and ornaments. It was heaven. Lots of folks grumble at the Bureau nowadays for silencing the critics and abusing power, supposedly. In my eyes, the Bureau is doing it right. Technology, order, and science should all be at the heart of society. I am where I am today, amidst the pioneers of the world, only thanks to the Supreme Bureau.
Huh. What a nerd.
Hey, how's it going? Are we on stream? Oh, okay. Pretty good. Have dinner later. Dinner later today with the family. I got I did. Hey, yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me boost up both of our volumes so we're a little louder. And then hopefully it's not too bad because then people can hear us a little clearer. And let's go back in. What are you playing? I know PW just told me he was playing some games, so I just wanted to know what he was playing today while he was also waiting for some stuff to happen this Canadian Thanksgiving.
You play PS4?
What was that? What are you playing?
Spider-Man for the PS4.
Hey, you got it!
Did you?
No, I'm still waiting for the price drop.
Okay. I had I was debating because I really liked Spider-Man 2. I really liked Insomniac game. But then I was like, I've also played other superhero games. Is this worth? So far, it's pretty fun. But I feel like if you want to play this game, and you've already played like Batman, Arkham Asylum, pretty much any game with like superhero elements, so like Second Son or whatever,
Yeah.
then you really need to like Spider-Man. Because otherwise, this feels very similar. The combat, like I'm used to playing like Yakuza, right? Which is a little bit, in my opinion, more depth of combat than this game. And it's still fun. I really like how they characterize Peter Parker in this one. And you know, the solid performances all around, the graphics look great. The web slinging, I will still say Spider-Man 2 was more fun. But it's still pretty good.
I think my complaint when I saw Spider-Man, when I saw it on the preview footage and I saw it on the just all the gameplay stuff, my big complaint on it was this looks super like, I don't know, it was very Ubisoft. That was the first thing I thought when I saw the Uber World. I was like, oh, this looks like an Ubisoft game.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you played Infamous, like, you know, or like other stuff like that, you know, it's very, but I don't know. I still want to reserve my full judgment when I play the game a little bit more, because it's definitely not bad. Is it groundbreaking in any way? Not necessarily.
It's winning.
Like it feels like a very safe, fun game.
It's winning a lot of positive attention, though, I have to say. Like, it's doing really well on the internet in terms of, I see a ton of people streaming it. I see a lot of people super interested in kind of showcasing this game off. Now, but granted, I admit I might be the only one, or we might be the only people who have these reservations.
That's fair. I mean, the other thing too is that you have to consider like what people's individual tastes are, right? So, you know, like for some people, like every Assassin's Creed yearly launch, they love it. You know, for me, I'm tired of some of that same formula, and I don't think I could play like an Assassin's Creed game every year, or at least without any like significant changes. But then again, it all just depends on what you want. Because a lot of people could argue that it's like they're all very similar, but the story and the characterization and everything else, that the combat keeps becoming back. So I haven't played a Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2, so that's really my only comparison for this.
How far are you into the game?
Pretty early. Like, I got it yesterday. In terms of the plot, I have really not done much. In terms of, like, I already swung around the city and activated all the map powers and did all that jazz. But I haven't really sunk that deep into it in terms of all the other, like, they're still introducing other side content that I can do. So it's not like it's completely fully free-roam yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still in like the Persona 5 kind of like, you need to go to sleep, young man.
Sort of, yeah. Like you can still swing around the city apart from rando crime, and now they added like taking pictures of landmarks. There's not a whole bunch you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll see how it goes. Part of me is, and then part of me is thinking, I think it also just comes down to a cost-benefit now. It's like, is this a game that you might want to consider playing? Sure. You want to buy it at full price? I don't know. I did. I jumped the shark and I did it, but still, like...
I think that's my major, like, hang-up is I have to confess, I'm kind of waiting for the game to not cost as much as it does. Because it looks awesome, but it is not classically the type of game I would buy full price. And I guess, how much did you pay for, if you don't mind me asking?
So I had a couple like discount certificates, so it wasn't, I didn't actually end up paying the
full price?
The actual full price. But I did, because I had the discount tickets, like I got the deluxe edition, which would have been, but because I had some discounts from like gamer points and other stuff like that, then I was paying less for it.
I think you cut out right
just to buy it. Like I wouldn't have bought it just without kind of prodding, I think, at this price. But yeah,
I think you cut out right as you said the price.
Oh, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. No, like I think you broke up literally right as you said the price. Like you were like, it cost.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so deluxe edition costs $100.
Jeez.
99. Yeah, and the thing that I find weird for that. Okay, so there's a DLC that hasn't like three missions and like 3 suits and stuff like that haven't really been full details of what they are or what they're going to do. But that's what the deluxe edition gets. It's essentially like a mini season pass. Because in Canadian dollars, you'd be paying 35 instead of 20.
Yeah. Because of the way our economy kind of works right now, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. So then, I don't know. I was weighing the options. Like I have these discounts. If I end up liking this game at all, I'll probably want to play it. So whatever, I'll just jump in. But if I didn't have the discounts, I probably would have questioned buying this game right now.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, again, it goes back to like, I think it's interesting because the other big game that's out, that's open world, really popular, is Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Has anybody made a Super Mario Odyssey joke yet? Because I feel like it needs to be done now.
I'm sure you can make one. I'm sure, like, the only thing... So, here's the thing. I genuinely think I would love Spider-Man more, because the swinging looks phenomenal. But the other thing is, if I'm going to be purchasing an Ubisoft game, I feel like the setting in Odyssey is a little more interesting, because it's like, it's like Greek myth and monsters and there's gear, and I get that in Spider-Man there's like the different suits and the whole like the city of New York. But I guess to me I'm not gonna buy either till they're discounted. Actually, the funny thing is the moment I saw Odyssey's positive reviews, the first thing I did was like, how much does Origins cost now?
Yeah, and I mean, that's another thing. You can always play, like, a game back because they take so much time to fit, depending on what you're playing. So price-wise, like, you'd probably find just, like you're saying, like, how much is, what was the one before Odyssey?
Origins,
yeah. So you'd probably be fine just doing that. That's the thing, like, when you start to think about how much time a game is going to take you to play, like you really got to think about like why am I getting
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. Like it's a little bit of well, I guess the interesting thing is having started post-call gaming streaming or post-call gaming, I do now have this, not a dilemma, like I do find sometimes I'm looking at my games purchases and I'm like, oh, would people like watch us play this, or like would people enjoy us streaming this type of game? And then you kind of, but then the funny thing is, when I originally set up post-call gaming, I actually have like a huge library of like old PS1, PS2 games that I want to stream. And I was like, we have like a lot of content that we could go through. And then especially once you and Aero get your, stuff set up for streaming, it's going to be like, there's literally no pressure to do new games at all. Because I feel like our channel's very much of just like whatever we love to stream is what's going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is that like, you look at most large like Twitch streamers, they sometimes kind of fall into one of two categories. One, they're very good at the thing that they're doing, so whether it's like MOBAs or speedrunning or like they have a very specific niche, or if there's one who kind of seems to be, and again I'm generalizing a lot here, but like if there's someone who's kind of like more of a personality, people like hanging out with, like going their commentary, they'll play a lot of the new stuff almost as it comes, right? It's what's in the most recent news cycle. So it just depends, like really what you decide to do with your time in terms of playing video games, because you can pick stuff and always kind of be up to the same conversation as everybody else. Depends, like, do you like what?
Yeah, I feel like that it kind of comes down, like, it's interesting because I do feel our channel's probably gonna end up being a JRPG stream. I mean, because that's my tilt, and until you and Aero start streaming and kind of like we start dividing the days between the two of us, so that like, or the three of us, or whoever, like if Waltz wants to do streaming too, it's gonna be really interesting to it's gonna be really interesting to see kind of what the net effect of all of this is gonna be. Sorry, I just ran into a cockroach that was burning me alive. Okay, I leveled up. I don't know what I want. Okay, we can't get the thing I wanted.
Also, I'm seriously wondering if Peter Parker is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal.
Yeah! I heard he's really good.
What's even more funny is that the police captain's name is Yuri. I'm like, are you guys pulling a Tales of Vesper here? Like,
the thing where they like swap off, right?
No, the thing where they just use Yuri's name somewhere when he's actually in the game.
I can't wait till Vesperia HD comes out. Holy cow. That's the thing I'm waiting for.
I'm really excited, yeah. It'll be great. I'm really divided between getting it on PS4 versus the like the portability would be nice. In some ways, I kind of like playing on the PS4.
I feel like I will end up getting it on the Switch.
Yeah.
Okay, PW, help me pick. So I'm trying to spec this thing. I'm gonna be a bruiser with magic. Do I dump it into armor, or do I dump it into like a tech slot?
Is it guaranteed that you're going to get hit?
Yeah, pretty much, I think.
I mean, bruisers usually have
high defense.
Yeah.
All right, armor it is.
If this was a game where you can control whether you get hit, then I just would have said get the tech.
So you can kind of control it. It's a little iffy. Okay, I will be back. I am gonna quickly. I just gotta go quickly get something done, and then I'll be back.
Sure, sounds good.
I just realized my mic is super loud. This stream's recording gonna be all over the place. Hey, dude, we're back.
Hey.
Alright, gonna see if I can survive this dungeon. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, the combat and all the footage I've seen for Spider-Man PS4 really does look surprisingly a lot like Arkham.
Well, and the other thing, like, you watched Duncan, right?
Watch 2?
Video game Duncan?
Yeah, I've seen Donkey. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I mean, like, yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, it might sound like it's being a little harsh on the game, but, like, remember, like, the Batman, the combat, you could just triangle and win. It's not the best way to win, or do you get the best, like, upgrades and points? Same time, like, I can kind of get the feeling Batman's combat, it is like there's a lot of risk involved. And I mean, I'm playing on Spider-Man on the hardest difficulty now, and enemies do hit you pretty hard. So there is some challenge. I like that, but at the same time, like in the combat system, we'll see how it goes so far. Because you can powers and stuff. But it could be.
I think it's interesting because I think you and I are both Bayo fans, and we're both character action kind of game fans. So I think to us, the combat in Batman, which is very much a prescribed kind of in fact, like, it's controversial, but I would even go as far as to say, honestly, sometimes to me, and I realize it's not everybody, but to me, sometimes it feels like Batman's combat is like a rhythm game.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like, do you press triangle? Okay. Do you have enough meter to finish her? Okay.
Exactly.
Do you press square to get a critical hit? Like, yeah, I agree. Like, it's very different.
So in a lot of ways, to me, like, sometimes, I don't know, it's not like DMC, and it's not like Bayo, where it's like, oh, like, you know, combat situation, and like think on your feet, you know, fight with like creativity, build your own combos, do what you need. And then I find Batman, and then all the games that kind of have, so like the ironic thing is, like, we already brought up Assassin's Creed's combat system is very much the same. Shadow of Mordor had a very similar system. I just find it's not my favorite type of combat, especially in like an open world. It just ends up feeling, things feel way too similarly paced. Does that sound right?
Yeah, like there's no really change of like one encounter differing to another, because once you know the rhythm and you know what you can do for each type of enemy, then it's kind of simple.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in Bayonetta or Yakuza, there's more than one way to take out a guy, and there's more than one way to use either. Like, it's not just for finishing moves. You can do like a bunch of alternate actions that require it. You know, so like I think it's about creativity and approach, really. Like you were saying, it feels more prescribed in the back.
Yeah, and like I think you bring up a good point too. Like with Yakuza, to me, the comparison has always been like, I always end up feeling in Japanese action games like you both simultaneously drive the tempo, and you often have the tempo taken away from you at the same time. So not only,
but then part of the challenge is that it's like a fighting game. Part of the challenge is like reestablishing things. Like, that's part of the challenge that the game throws at you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I don't know, to me it's like, oh, like, this is fun because sometimes I get to drive the pace, and then sometimes it's the boss or the monsters that are driving the pace. And it's like, I don't know, to me it's the difference between what's that dancing that they made us do in elementary school? Folk dancing. Is the difference between folk dancing and like really kick-ass, you know, samba tempo dancing, where it's like, I feel like when I'm playing a character action game from Japan, and this is terrible, I don't mean to generalize like Japanese and Western developers, but with Japanese action games, I feel like there's a dynamism to the battle that is unpredictable, so it makes every fight feel a little fresh. And then in the Batman model, it's like every fight ultimately feels the same. And that's why the bosses, for example, don't feel threatening, because they have to adhere to these rules. So every boss fight is still the same. Like, you just have to ultimately, like, you know, counter when the light goes up, you know, dodge here, like, do all this stuff. There's little symbols that you read. So everything ends up feeling very, like, there's no threat. It's not like DMC where I'm like, oh god, like, I don't know what moves this guy's gonna throw out. I don't know, you know, what this guy's skill set is. I have no idea what his intended, like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna throw a punch here? Do I have to jump? Can I, like, phase through this? Blah blah blah. Or it's like Dark Souls.
And I mean, like, in Bayonetta, like, you have witch time, but you still need to be able to read your enemy to figure out when they're actually attacking.
Exactly.
Like, you don't get the little triangle marker in your head that says dodge.
So to me, it's anytime I see people using, like, using that kind of, sorry, I'm just reading item descriptions here. Anytime I see people using that kind of battle system, I'm always, like, not groaning, but it becomes clear that, to me, I'm gonna get bored at the, you know, whatever hour mark, because you're not gonna have, every battle is gonna feel the same. Like, I guess the interesting thing is, whoa, what happened there? The interesting thing I think about is Shadow of Mordor. Like, the only reason I think that game survived and became popular is because they had the Nemesis system. So it was like, oh,
tell me what it's, what does that mean?
Oh, so the Nemesis system was like this whole thing where, so Shadow of Mordor was an open world game, and you basically were like a rider of Ronin, and you went around this open world and you took down different orc lieutenants and stuff. But the thing that made it unique was if you got killed by an orc lieutenant, or even any kind of mob, the game would actually remember that mob, and it would, like, your game over screen would show you the mob's face, and then he would gain new abilities because he defeated you. And then you would see them again in the map, and it would be like the game would remember, like, how he killed you, you know, like what he did to kind of like bring you down and stuff like that. And then the other neat thing is sometimes when you defeated orc captains and lieutenants, their body would actually like have scars that reflect the way you killed them. So like if you killed them with an arrow, they would have a bandage over the area that you shot. Or if you know, sliced a limb off, I think what happens is like their limb gets like severely damaged and stuff like that. So it was like, okay, it's the same encounter every time, but at least in this particular instance, like because I'm remembering past fights and the enemies can be a little different every time, it doesn't, at least each fight feels more memorable. Trying to figure out where to go. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, once I see the Spider-Man combat system, I'm always like, this is not my jam. I don't know how to move through here. Maybe we have to
the other
blow up
thing
the guy.
about you is that even like, not that Spider-Man doesn't really use gadgets and stuff in the game and whatnot, but you're like drawing comparisons to Batman. You're like, oh yeah,
Like this is a Batman game. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It looks really good. Like I don't want to make it sound like I don't like the game. Having not played it, from what I've seen, I actually really like how it looks.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I'm still playing it right now. I'm still having a good time. It's just like
there's clearly things that make it Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm gonna wait till I can get it for a little less, and then I'm gonna pick it up. We might do some streaming with it. I am like genuinely curious because the movement looks so fun, but I have no bright ideas on how to solve this puzzle. What am I supposed to do? Huh. Okay, I throw it too far. That keeps it open, this closes it. I don't know what to do on this puzzle. Can I drop it? Okay, that works, but then the problem is I throw it too far, like a madman. Oh my goodness. Take? Oh, I figured it out. Oh no, it's another puzzle. And this time, I can't use the strategy I used before. Wait, what? Oh, no, this doesn't make any sense. Is it because the weight's not enough?
No, what do you think about like this whole open world stuff and how it's become almost ubiquitous? Like
Pervasive.
Huh?
Pervasive.
Yes, pervasive.
I mean, on one hand, it's kind of like it's really interesting. So I think I think we're trapped. The industry is trapped using open world as a feature / genre, but with the way games have evolved, it's almost like I don't think this is an accurate way to describe games anymore. Like I think before in the past we you know, like when Oblivion first came out or when Morrowind was just, like such a huge thing, it was a little bit like, oh, you know, it's so amazing, you can go anywhere, you can climb to the top of that mountain, there's no borders, there's no walls, and it was fascinating. But to me it's almost like open world we should no longer think of it as a genre, and similarly we shouldn't be thinking of it as a series of conventions, because we're now seeing developers who are, you know, thinking, oh, you know, we want to build an open world, and then almost always the instinct seems to be, let's create an Ubisoft style open world, let's create like a ton of side activities, you fill the map, you know, players go out into the world and you do as many activities as you want, and there's towers, blah blah blah. And I mean, it's even interesting because as much as Breath of the Wild revolutionized the formula, there's still towers, there's still side activities you go out in the world and find. So it's almost like, how much has this really evolved?
Yeah, but you know what was kind of weird though? I don't know what it was, but I felt like I didn't notice that it was as towery in Breath of the Wild as other games, and I really don't know why that is.
It's not because there's a couple of key things. Like there's actually a great I don't know if it was by Design Doc on YouTube or not, but there's a YouTuber who put out a video as to why that was the case. And one of the arguments he makes, and I agree, and it's interesting because now Ubisoft is copying that with Odyssey, is this idea that your map in Zelda doesn't... Your map is actually, for the most part, completely empty. Even though it shows you the terrain, it doesn't tell you where the activities are. You are the person who constantly has to make the decision of where you want to go.
Exactly. And you stumble upon a lot of stuff, right? Because like the thing with... I mean, I say this right now even when I'm just using I'm playing Spider-Man, and I'm trying to go to each landmark to take a picture of it. But all of the icons are already on my map, so I just need to pick it and then follow the waypoint.
Exactly. And that's because, I mean, that's precisely because the philosophy of design on display is this concept that it's not about, because see, for me philosophically, when you as a game designer do that with your map, what you're saying to me is that the journey doesn't matter. What matters is the quote unquote stuff. But the whole joy of playing an open world game is that it's my adventure. I do whatever the hell I want. You know, and it's the reason why Skyrim has persisted is because you have this full kind of world interaction. You can pick anything up, you can grab anything, and that's why people still play this game even though it's like now 5 years old, because you can't, it's about the journey. You know, you can mod the game, you can make it do anything you want. The quest is like really not that important. But with an Ubisoft style design, I feel like what you're saying is, hey, we've designed all these, you know, side activities, so go into the world and play them, find them. We will even tell you where they are. And it's like, well, then my journey doesn't matter, because really what matters to you as a designer is that I play these copy pasted activities from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to like the earlier point, that's why I think it's funny, because the newest Assassin's Creed apparently has something they're calling Explorer mode, where they basically turn off the minimap.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, so you're basically confessing, you know, this has always been the problem.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean,
the other thing I was also going to say was just that I feel like with a lot of quote-unquote AAA games, or the ones that, like, you know, your Batman Arkham Asylums, or
I'll take care of workshops, maintenance, and
etc.
I'm so
I think,
Mr. Reich.
to some degree, there's a level of polish
He's a role model to me.
that actually alienates the player.
Of the island wars against the rebels.
Like, I feel like if there isn't a degree of personality, like a degree of work that the developers are allowed, then it can just feel kind of soulless. And you know what, I have to say, part of the reason why I'm keeping on with this Spider-Man is I feel like they actually did put a lot of work into this, and like it feels like they put a lot of care. But you know what? One of the things that I hear often from people who criticize like Assassin's Creed and stuff is they'll say that, you know, the story is just kind of lifeless, everything's kind of lifeless, and I don't know how much truth there is to that.
The story kind of died. Like, after the main series ended, it kind of has lost its way. It stopped being about assassins and Templars, which arguably was the huge draw at the beginning. It's now it's just kind of like, go through history, go see this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad, actually. But I don't know. It's interesting because I think the appeal to Assassin's Creed for me personally has never been about the actual gameplay, or not about the map. It's more just like, oh, go through these historical, like, I mean, the funny thing is I'm one of those random people that actually really loved the one that took place in France. I can't remember its name. Unity. Even though it was like lambasted, because if you turned off the minimap, I actually played Unity like Skyrim, hilariously enough. Like, I actually basically turned off the minimap and only like wandered around the map to find the activities. And to me, that was like fun. It was like, oh, because the thing with Unity too is like it had visible gear. You bought tons of gear. You know, it was like Fashion Souls, and then you would go into random people's houses, and then all of a sudden it's Fashion Souls. And then the funny thing is, like, you would wander into random people's homes, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's a murder mystery here, and you're like, this is great. It's like playing an open world Paris. Like, you know, I have a stealth build, I have a brawler build, you know, it's like I'm gonna do these things. It was phenomenal gameplay, and it's interesting that all it took was for me to turn off all the extraneous, you know, for lack of better words, crap that was clogging the screen.
Wait to unpack and start working. Being stranded here in the middle of the ocean like this worries me a little. The tower feels. strong.
Makes you wonder if
I'm pretty sure no Canute will repeat it ever again.
the
Research on
whole
Fumium
map
shows
thing needs to be
promise.
reconsidered.
Maybe I'm
Then,
dreaming here, but it could just happen to be the next Mars
The whole
in
what,
the
sorry?
world, and we'll be
like just
right
having a
there
map in some
in the
ways.
thick of things. I'm so looking forward to taking over and continuing
It depends
the
on my
project. And the best thing about
level
it
of
is
commitment to the
fusion of
game.
family
Like,
and
if
work
my
and
level
life
of
combined
commitment to the
together.
game is high, like not high, what's a better word for it? Like, for example, Octopath Traveler, there's a mini map. I never play with it unless I'm like looking for the save point, because I'm like, I need to save. But if it's a game that I'm like, you know what, I love this setting, I love what the developers have done, I will play with the map off. I don't mind getting lost if it's a game that I enjoy playing. If it's a game I don't enjoy playing, then yeah, I'm gonna turn that map on because I want to be done with it ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just fighting a boss battle right now. That's why the music just like racked up to metal. The music is
Did
still
you see
playing.
the trailer for Project
Project what?
or Judge Eyes? Judge Eyes?
Oh yeah. It's like Yakuza, but now we play cops, right?
Yeah, Yakuza meets Phoenix Wright almost. I'm so excited. Because, I mean, I think what's also cool about it is that now they're building something up fresh with the Dragon engine. So, it's not like they only have to adopt previous moves.
There's no way that was human.
I think it looks pretty good. Like I'm kind of excited to see. I think that team has a lot
I need a key.
to offer. I think in some ways they were I think they're tired of building Yakuza games, which, I mean, anybody who's been building the same series for years probably would be.
Mm-hmm. Though I feel like what that team does really well is like characterization and narrative, and feel it in like the world, like having it be reflected. And so I think, I'm actually excited that they're not necessarily doing like another Yakuza game, like that they're doing something else that they can experiment with the plot and the protagonist. Because yeah, I think it'll give them a chance to
Last thing I killed.
spread their wings a little more.
Didn't seem that human. It was flesh. Yeah.
But I thought it's taking place in the Yakuza like world, right?
I think it's in Camaro,
none of the vermin. and
but I don't know if it actually involves like the Yakuza main character.
I don't know, man. I'm still waiting for my who's the dude that kicks Akiyama? I'm waiting for my Akiyama game.
It's so funny because I haven't even seen Akiyama yet. Like I haven't played 4.
Oh, are you serious? You haven't played 4?
No, because I played 0, Kiwami, and then I'm playing Kiwami 2.
I thought you did play 4.
No.
Dude, Akiyama
But-
is the best.
Well, dude, it's just funny because like I just have to look at him and I'm like, yeah, character.
Cause he's basically like, what if you had? He's kind of a more swaggery version of, you know how basically when it comes to, oh god, Kiryu, Kiryu's all like honor and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like Akiyama is, also a hero character. Like he always does the right thing, but he's hilariously like he just gives us this air of like, man, I just don't want to deal with this right now. It is awesome.
I know. This is funny. I just took like one look at him and the Yakuza game. This is.
I love him, man. He's great.
Oh wait, we're on stream. I forgot.
It's okay. We're gonna have to bleep that out.
Yeah, but
My bad, dude.
steel and whatever that blue
All right,
stuff was.
I was gonna wrap up the stream here too as well, so it's a good time to also end it, because that way I'll be able to find it and bleep it. All right.
Good.
Thanks, PW.
All right.
Have a good Thanksgiving,
See you, Doc.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.